Most UGC videos don't get rejected because of your camera. They get rejected for everything else. And if you've ever wondered why brands are not accepting your videos, why your videos are not looking like ads, or why other creators seem to get repeat work over and over again, this video is gonna help to clear that up. And in this video, I'm gonna share with you from start to finish how I film UGC brand videos, from reading the briefing to scripting to filming, editing, your angles, your lighting, your camera, everything in between, so you don't have to do all the guesswork when it comes time for you to create your own. And if you've been following my 30 briefings in 30 days series here over on Shorts or in my social media, this video is gonna be the behind the scenes of how these videos even get created as well. And this video is for everyone. Either you're a UGC beginner, an influencer transitioning into UGC, or honestly, if you are anyone trying to make money and getting paid to work with brands, this video is for you. Because UGC isn't just about filming yourself talking to your phone, because these videos are going to be used for ads. So your video needs to perform, it needs to convert, and as well, it needs to follow a certain strict number of guides and regulations. And the good news for you is that you don't need to have fancy equipment or to have a filming degree. All you need is a process, and that's exactly what I'm gonna show you today. First, and probably the most important step before you even pick up your camera, is being able to read the briefings. And I cannot even tell you the amount of beginner UGC creators that lose opportunities just because they don't follow instructions. A typical UGC briefing will tell you the following things: how long the video should be, whether it will be used for organic reach or for paid ads, the tone of the video, meaning, is it going to be educational? Is it gonna be entertaining? Is it gonna be a testimonial? What are we doing? They're going to tell you as well mandatory talking points. They're going to tell you words and claims that you cannot make. Orientation, meaning, is it going to be a horizontal or is it going to be a vertical video? And sometimes even exact shots that they want you to capture. And if your piece of content is going to be used for paid ads, let me tell you, they're going to be strict because there are compliances that they need to follow through, and you as the creator need to make sure you don't mess it up. So when I personally see a briefing, I read it at least twice. First time, I try to understand the concept, and the second time it will be to catch like little details like the proper names, captions, music, shots that I need to cover. And if you skip this very simple step, the likelihood that you will need to reshoot your content is very high. Next up comes scripting, or at least figuring out what you're gonna say. Some briefings will tell you exactly word for word what you're supposed to say. Others will give you bullet points, and you still have other briefings that give you the full creative freedom to, within the concept that they're looking for you to come up with what you're gonna say. And when I get a full script, I try to stay exactly within those guidelines. And if I do rewrite it, I only rewrite it in a way that will be more natural sounding and more authentic when I'm actually talking to camera. So me particularly, I like to work into sections. I like reading the script at least twice. First round will be so that I get accustomed with what I have to say. And then the second time, I go back into the brand briefing and I see exactly what phrases the brand wants me to focus particularly on. And I want to see as well where I need to make breaks and pauses while I'm actually delivering those lines. And if there's no script, I just create one myself. Now, it is very important for me, even on short videos, that I script everything out because I tend to ramble. If I don't have a proper script to follow, I will just be going on forever and my message will no longer be clear. Sometimes as well, you can use bullet points instead of full sentences so that it doesn't look like you're reading off a script all the time. Because as well, one of the things that most creators forget, brands want you to sound natural and organic while you're talking. They don't want it to sound like you're just reading off a script. Sorry if you hear a little bit of purring, but my cat Gus decided to step in and he's gonna stay with us for the remainder of this video. Anyway, now let's talk about the filming setup. Now, the biggest myth that I hear about UGC is that you need really expensive gear. And let me tell you, that is absolutely wrong. Most brands actually want you to film only using your phone. And why is that? Because again, phone footage looks organic to social media. What they do care about more, however, is stability and the clarity of your footage. I personally always use a tripod to film because shaky footage just looks amateur and it's so hard to edit later on. Now, when it comes to angles, I think you need to do a little bit of testing for yourself to see what works for you. For example, for me, when it comes to talking head videos, I like to do full frontal like this one, for example, or I like to slightly turn my face to the left side because I know that this is my most flattering angle, and I work with that. So what I recommend that you do is do the same, test yourself out on your phone and see what camera angles actually look most flattering to you. Now, this might sound obvious to you, but clean your damn camera lens. It sounds obvious, but it makes a world of a difference. Now, when it comes to audio, I think it's really important just to focus on having a quiet environment with as less echo as possible. And if you want to take your audio up a notch, use an external mic like I'm using right now. If you don't worry. The mic on your iPhone is more than enough. Now, again, I don't know much about Androids, but I believe that Samsung phones have equally as good of quality as an iPhone. So just work with what you have, test it out. And thankfully for us, nowadays, all of the editing softwares that I personally use, you can fix the audio settings so that it sounds a lot better in post-edit. Now, before you film a full video, I recommend that you do a little 5-second test. Turn on your camera recording and see if you're in frame, see if you're in focus, see the quality of your audio, and then you can proceed to film your video in full. And now let's move along and talk about one of the things that can absolutely make or break your video, and that is lighting. Natural light is always my favorite and what everyone in the business recommends, and for a reason. Natural light not only looks more natural, but it makes sure as well that you have an even light source hitting your face all at once so you don't have any weird shadows. And on that topic, always make sure that you never have a light source behind you. Otherwise, it will give that silhouette dark vibe that's not what we're looking for. We want to see you very clearly, and we want the light to be hitting you from the front so that it doesn't give you some weird shadows either. Now you can tell me, Ashley, but I don't have a natural light source. I don't have a window that has a lot of sunlight. That's not a problem. You can use artificial lights like I'm using now. You can use, for example, a ring light or a softbox light, whatever you have available to you, as long as you don't use a very harsh light that will create this very unflattering shadow under your eyes, you're good to go. Now, your background also matters, and most brand briefings will always put a clause or a disclaimer for you as a creator to always use very natural, clean, minimal backgrounds, and this is for a very specific reason. When you have too many things going on in your background, this can absolutely shift the focus of the viewer of your video, and that's not what the brand is hiring you for. So regardless of the type of product that you're filming, remember always that the background should feel clean and intentional and relevant to whatever product you're going to be showcasing. If you're going to be filming, for example, a wellness product, maybe you need to find a corner of your house that you can make it look very calm and very comfy so that it is, again, relevant to the type of product that you're shooting. So at the end of the day, you don't need to have a perfect studio setup. All you need is to have clear and decluttered backgrounds within your space that you can use for UGC. Now, another controversial topic is that UGC doesn't need to be cinematic, aesthetic, or look like a filmmaker made it. It's supposed to be conversion focused only. Most UGC briefings will always ask you for talking head videos like this one, but variety is the spice of life. Usually I like to film multiple takes in different angles so that I give variety to the brand even when they didn't ask for it. I can put it on a tripod, I can walk with it like I'm doing a selfie style video. The possibilities are endless, and I always recommend that you try out different things because brands might not always as well have a particular idea of what they're looking for, but if you can provide to them a different creative scope of what you can actually create, you give them options. Now, here are other type of shots that you can always use in your UGC briefings, and I think are always beneficial for you to train and to get better at. So, of course, talking head shots, always, close-up of the product that you're going to be filming, hands-on demonstrations, lifestyle B-roll, and movement shots. And having extra shots that you can use when you're editing gives you, the creator, a lot more flexibility, and it will give your video more dynamics, and it will keep the viewers watching for longer. Now, one other thing that I think is really critical for you to focus on is the hook. If you don't know what a hook is the first 1 to 3 seconds of the video, and that is by far the most important and critical part of your video, because that will determine if your video will have proper conversion and performance for the brand. I can make a whole video about hooks, and if that is interesting to you, let me know. I will create that next. Now, let's talk about editing, shall we? Now, editing a UGC style video is very different from editing a very cinematic, short, or YouTube video. As you probably know, as a user yourself, paid social content needs to be fast, clear, and engaging. What you need to do is remove any pauses, make the sentences as short as possible, and keep the pacing very snappy. Most brands will ask you to do captions and text overlays because most users watch videos with no sound on. Music will be optional depending on the briefing, and I always recommend that you check the licensing rules that the brands will tell you in the briefings themselves. Now, I would also avoid using very heavy filters or super stylized type of edits unless the brand particularly asks for that. The overall goal of UGC videos is for them to be polished yet natural. Think of it as when a video pops onto your social media feed, something that is attention grabbing and somewhat feels relatable. Now, once you've finished filming your videos, it doesn't mean that your job is done. We're just halfway through. Now, brands can as well be very specific when it comes to exporting styles of your footage. For example, they might want to tell you that they want a specific file format. They might tell you that they want you to deliver the content through a platform, through a cloud link, or even through email. Now, one thing that I want you to do clearly to differentiate yourself from a pool of creators, it's something so simple, it can be so easily overlooked, and that is label your files correctly. There is nothing more annoying than for a brand manager or for anyone that is taking care of your content to have to go through image 150, image 152, trying to figure out what type of shot they're getting clearly from you. As well, within the same idea and the same frame, always double check that you're sending everything back to the brand correctly, that you're not missing any shots so that you can avoid any extra back and forth that is unnecessary. And last but definitely not least, submit your content within the deadlines. Now, of course, things happen. If you can't make it happen for whatever reason, send that over to the brand, but always try to fit whatever deadlines you've been given, because that only gives you more professional credibility from here on out. And lastly, I don't want you to think of revisions as necessarily a bad thing. It happened to me that a brand once asked me to just add 1 second at the beginning of the line that I was delivering because it was sounding like I was cut off. So all revisions don't have to be bad revisions, or it doesn't have to be an indication for you that you did something wrong. Just take it as the brand wanting to do better adjustments for their campaigns, because at the end of the day, that's what they're paying you for. If there's one thing that I want you to take out of this video, is that successful UGC isn't about fancy equipment or lights or cameras. It is about a process. Understanding the briefing, planning your messaging, filming intentionally, and even delivering the content in a professional way will take you way further than any fancy equipment would. This is a skill that you build over time, and dare I say it, it will be something that you will get better at from project to project. And if you want to start your UGC journey and you want a structured, simple path to follow, I have free resources linked below in the description that you can go and download today. And if you found this video at all helpful, please consider subscribing to this channel. I bring weekly real-world insights on the UGC space based on real briefings, not just theory. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.